From the field to the studio to your eyes and ears, a very somber, a very sad, no victory Monday today, but the 816 hour. We are back. Chiefs recap here with Carter and Keegan. Boys, how are we doing today?
Terrible.
Quick
Terrible.
with it.
Chiefs lost. My entire week is ruined.
You're not wrong.
Pretty much, Carter hit it spot on.
I was going to say, my weekend is based on three things usually. My fantasy team, Mizzou football, and Chiefs football. Mizzou's done. My fantasy team lost. Then the Chiefs lost. It just wasn't a good weekend. But boys, obviously, we'll jump right into it. Chiefs lost yesterday, 24-27 on the road in Cincinnati. Third straight loss to Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Boys, how do we feel? Just a quick little feeling about the game as a whole. How'd you leave that game feeling?
Robbed.
Robbed and embarrassed. I love it. The Chiefs honestly got beaten almost every aspect of this game. They lost the turnover battle. We'll obviously talk about that Travis Kelce fumble. Mahomes didn't break 300 yards. I got out rushed. Samaje Perine had himself a day, made the Chiefs defense look like they didn't know how to tackle running backs. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, obviously, they both had games as well. But boys, let's just quickly get into where it hurt. Quickly, just going to jump right into it. Sorry, I know. I want to try to beat around the bush as long as possible because I really don't want to talk about it.
We got to hit on it.
But that Kelce costly fumble. I think that's where it kind of started. I know we'll jump into the hardest part. You're driving in the fourth quarter. The Chiefs were up 24-20 on their way, in my opinion, to make it 31-20, seemingly putting the game out of reach. But that didn't happen. Obviously, Travis Kelce fumbles the ball. Not sure how a whistle wasn't called in the moment, but I understand he was still fighting for yards. Should there have been a whistle have called, boys? Did either of you think twice about that?
I'm obviously biased, but like when the fumble happened, I literally was like, "Oh, play is dead." I just assumed because how long it took him to go down, I just assumed the play was dead, and obviously they just kept fighting till they were playing till the whistle, and then the ball finally came out. Sadly, but even Kelce he was throwing his hands up. He's like, "Why was that play not called dead?" But obviously, that was a momentum shifter. They just. That killed the game.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
It can't happen though.
We can't rule that whole game based off that one.
No, that's very true. That's very true.
Thing.
That loss is not on Travis Kelce.
I'd agree.
Stick to your gloves. Maybe come out at halftime. Pine tar all over your gloves next time. Make sure it doesn't happen again. Duct tape gloves. Do whatever it takes.
Pine tar.
Don't get mugged by three people in the middle of the field. Also an option. But could have lateraled it back to Sky Moore, and you could have taken it to the house.
Hey, we have seen Kelce when he's held up in those situations. Just toss that ball out. Shady McCoy got one in the Motor City a couple years ago.
Yeah, he was talking about it on his pod.
I believe that. But then after that, the next drive, obviously Bengals go down. Chris Evans, he goes and scores. Chiefs are then down 27-24. Mahomes gets sacked on 3rd and 3 from the 33-yard line. Instead of a 53-yard field goal, got a 55-yarder. Obviously, Harrison pushes that field goal. Would have tied the game. A lot of people are upset that Andy Reid took the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hand. A lot of people would have liked to seen the Chiefs go for that fourth down, see if they can do something with the offense, use the rest of that fourth quarter, kick a field goal, score a touchdown, no time. Did you guys in the moment feel like, oh, why are we sending Harrison out there? Why are we kicking it?
No. I was all on board.
Thank you. Keegan, don't shake your
Harrison
head. You did not.
Patty got sacked. It put us at what? 4th and 14?
4th and 7.
4th and 7. I agreed with the call. Harrison makes that 99% of the time. It happens. Wasn't a pretty game. It was kind of a fluky game. This is coming from a Chiefs fan, but fluky game.
Carter's gonna get us canceled.
You said you didn't like the kick. You weren't agreeing with the kick. You wanted to go for it.
No. It's not that I disagree with it. I mean, I'm always gonna we've had this discussion before. Any fourth down I see, go for it. Go for it. It's Mahomes, you know. With the game, with how the game was going, the defense couldn't stop anything. So I was like, just go for it, because I mean, you're gonna get the chance to get the ball back regardless, even if you kick it. You're gonna want to stop them either way. But like Carter said, Bucker makes that like 98% of the time. So it looks like a bad decision because he missed. But who knows how that game would have played out if he made it. You know, maybe we get a stop and get the ball back and then go down there and get another field goal. 4th and 7 obviously isn't the easiest one to just be like, oh, go for it. But I don't know. I mean, it's just...
I don't think you could take that sack on 3rd down if you're Mahomes either. I think that's huge.
Well, if someone wanted to block,
Oh gosh, here we go. Key, just go right into it, Key. If you want to talk about it, bring it up.
I'm not gonna. I mean, I could sit here and just point fingers all day, but losses happen. It's if the Chiefs get better. Like, obviously, not every Super Bowl team is perfect. But like when the pass rush gets one QB hit on a team that gives up the 4th most sacks, like that can't happen. Like that. Don't get me wrong. I've been on the D line. I mean, you hear me week in and week out talk to those D line. I mean, they're 4th in sacks, but Chris Jones didn't do anything yesterday. And I'm not saying it's on Chris Jones. I think he got held a lot without it being called. But when no one else is generating any pressure, I mean, that is just. I mean, and your defense is bending. Bend but don't break. I mean, and there's no pass rush. So many bad things are going to happen. I'm not saying, Orlando got beat bad yesterday on a lot of occasions. I'm not saying he doesn't earn the payday or anything. It's just a simple fact. He got beat, and that was one of the reasons the Chiefs lost.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I would agree with you 100%. Like, pressure.
It's just hard to sit here and just be like, yeah, this is why we suck, or this is why we sucked yesterday. It's just tough to hit on, but the tackling, it was bad. Safeties, linebackers struggled yesterday. I was a lot of people want to blame Spags. And I know everyone here's a big Spags defender, but I'm not upset about the calls at all. Just go make a play. I mean, it's not Spags can't do everything. I mean, like people want to talk about Karlaftis on Chase, and I get that. Like that should never happen. But there are so many. I mean, 3rd and 11, and they get it. Like
true.
He covered Jamar Chase better than anybody else covered Jamar Chase the whole day. So I think it was a great decision. No.
Well, we acted like it wasn't just a flat play where Jamar got pushed out of the dang play.
Yeah, like it didn't matter anyways. But I mean, that was just a great call by Zach Taylor there to flip Chase there and put him. I don't know exactly to get in depth on the defensive play, but to put the end on Chase, he runs with him, and then the running back wide open for a tutty. I mean, it was just a great play call. But yeah, like the 3rd and 11, that's what it comes down to, and yeah, just can't happen.
I wouldn't even say that. No, you got the 3rd and 5 where 2:51
they just
left.
Couldn't get off on 3rd
timeouts. Down. You throw that, the Bengals throw the screen pass to Jamar Chase. They then have him tackle 3 guys in that backfield ready to tackle him, and he somehow slips out, gets the 1st down. And then to hit on that 3rd and 11, 1:56 left, you got the sack. Zach Taylor and the Bengals showed what that you have to do to beat the Chiefs, and that's push the ball, go for it, not run the ball. They threw it on 2nd down, obviously backfired a little bit. Chiefs get the sack. Then on 3rd and 11, you say, okay, Joshua Williams, fourth round rookie corner that didn't even make the starting roster at the beginning of this year. Got beat out by 7th round pick Jalen Watson. Joe Burrow makes a pass of his life. I think T. Higgins makes one of the most underrated catches of this season, I will say. That it was a perfectly placed ball, a great catch. I think Joshua Williams couldn't have played that any better, but you just got to get off the field on third downs.
Yeah, and they had so much trouble with it yesterday. They had a little bit of pressure on that 3rd and 11. Mike Dana was right there. I mean, you've probably seen the clip 100 times by now on Twitter of him just easily beating his guy, and then he kind of like holds up. I think he lost his footing or second, but in the video, it literally looks like he just stops and then goes after Burrow. I also saw a thing from a Chiefs writer. He said that a lot of people on the D-line were started to pause on that last 3rd and 11 because they thought there was movement on the O-line. So that maybe had a factor. I mean, maybe that's just an excuse, but maybe that played a part of it.
I could definitely see that, especially if you didn't hear the whistle called in a loud stadium. You don't want to smoke Joe Burrow and then get a 15-yard roughing the passer call. But, I mean, definitely could be an excuse as well. But, boys, going to talk about a couple good things. The Chiefs did run the ball. I think they've realized now in this far into the season, Patrick Mahomes can't throw the ball 70 times a game. We have to establish a run game, and they did just that. Isaiah went for 66 yards on 14 carries. Jerick McKinnon also ran the ball 8 times for 51 yards. It just felt like they always had that back pocket. We need 3 yards. We need 4 yards, a little drive starter. We're going to give it to Isaiah. We'll give it to Jerick. And they were able to churn some yards out. So I loved that. George Karlaftis, he was able to keep that sack streak alive. So the Chiefs have continued to get a sack in every game this year. And then Nick Bolton. I know there's been some people, won't name names on people saying that Nick Bolton had a bad game. But Nick Bolton had 16 tackles yet last night. In coverage, he struggles. Yes, we talk about a time in and time out. That was his biggest con coming out of Mizzou. That make Nick Bolton's a tackling machine. I absolutely love it. Did anyone want to go over their biggest positive, biggest negative? Key got a smile on his face because he knows. Key, start with you. What's your biggest negative of this game? I want to talk about it.
Let's see what I wrote here. Everything. Everything on the defense.
That's just a bad take. It
was poor. No, I'm just kidding. I'm playing. Not everything was bad, obviously. Defense, I mean, they did some things right, but the pass rush was probably the biggest negative. The tackling was very poor.
Yep. Carter, what was your biggest negative from this game?
My biggest negative, I want to say the D-line's inability to stop the run. They've shown it in the last couple of weeks that they've been able to stop a run. They just weren't there. I don't know. They just weren't expecting a whole lot of runs because Joe Mixon wasn't in the game, so they weren't worried about it. But at some point, you got to turn around, and you can't let a backup running back run for 100+ yards on you. It's just unacceptable.
Joe Burrow was doing his thing on his legs too. I mean, on that 2nd and goal or 3rd and goal where he had the QB, they called the QB draw for the touchdown. He's sitting there and then he runs it. I'm like, stopped him. Goes untouched. Or I don't think he goes untouched, but whatever. He just walks in the end zone pretty much. I'm like, well, that's not going to happen. I mean, what are we doing? But that was all day.
Joe Burrow lives in the nightmares of Kansas City Chiefs defenders. I guarantee it. Has to. My biggest negative, though, I'll take it to the offensive side of the ball. And the Chiefs just don't have a consistent number 2 option outside Travis Kelce. I really thought Juju was going to have a big game this year. He got hurt, obviously. And then at times, I just feel like he goes missing. Last night, 3 catches for 35 yards. MVS, I really thought me and Key watched him at training camp. It's like, man, he gets a lot of separation off the line. Maybe he used that big frame, played with a guy like Rodgers, and he had 2 drops yesterday. One would have been a touchdown. But Tyreek Hill was that. What were you saying?
He's the biggest boomer bust player, and that's not even like trying to hate on the guy. But you saw it last night. I mean, the touchdown. I mean, I was celebrating before, like when it just goes to him. I'm like, oh, let's go. And he drops it. And then that right out of halftime, they go the deep play to him. It hits him, but it was well defended. So, I mean, I can't hit on him too much there. I mean, obviously incomplete. And then they go right back to him. Makes a great catch.
Makes the big play.
So I think with MVS, I think Green Bay, obviously you heard it live with his drop problems. I think it's just something you just got to live with MVS.
Yeah, I mean, you live with it on the aspect of he's able to make those boomer bust plays, like you just said. He's able to take the top off the defense, but to what degree? Like, how many times this year have we seen MVS hit that big? Mahomes throw that 56-yard pass to MVS where he uses his size and speed to get up over a defender and go make a play. I mean, we've seen it in the end zone. Mahomes throws it up. MVS, go make a play. You're 6'4", 6'5", and man, looking like me out there trying to jump over corners. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Definitely a discussion to have in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, what's the discussion though?
Do you take the drops with it? I mean, they obviously just signed to a 3-year deal.
Yeah, I think you definitely take.
But maybe I don't know. Just matters how they feel about the rest of the wide receiver group. Maybe you're like, oh, his drops aren't worth it, and they cut their ties after 1 year. But I don't know. At the beginning of the year, he was doing fine. He's starting to drop a little bit more.
If the Chiefs were
a little bit of a habit.
If the Chiefs cut MVS, man, what's the wide receiver room going to look like? Cole's a free agent. Juju's a free agent.
Tony,
we're drafting we're drafting Jordan Addison.
Jackson Smith and Jigba's coming to KC. I'm telling you.
Exactly. So it doesn't even matter.
But boys, we'll jump to the positive side of the pod. What was the biggest positive you guys had coming away from this pod? I'm fully expecting nothing from Keegan. No,
there was a positive. Trent McDuffie is him. He covered Chase most of the game. Chase had 3 targets, 1 catch for 8 yards. McDuffie, as a whole, that game gave up 2 receptions for 17 yards. I think he proved. Beach hit on that one for sure.
I would agree. Carter?
Oh, the PI call on him was stupid too. Sorry, I had to throw that out there.
What?
The PI call on him was dumb.
Hey man, that call was stupid. Sorry.
I just
the way you said that,
there.
I wasn't ready for it. No, I'd agree. Carter, what was your positive?
My biggest positive, Nick Bolton is that guy.
No.
He had 16 tackles. He had a ton of tackles, 8 solo tackles. There's no reason that he should have that many tackles unless everybody else is falling apart. So I think he made the best of a bad defensive outing of everybody else.
Let's hear it, Key. Let's hear it so we can just jump right into it before I get into my positive. Just
I
air it out.
I think Nick Bolton struggled. I think he struggled. But I think everybody struggled, so I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Just the way you reacted to that just didn't sit right with me. I won't lie. Everyone go check out the YouTube video. See how Keegan just reacted when Carter said what he said. Drop in the comments.
Or how about Juan Thornhill? His first came back in 10 tackles. How about that guy?
No, stop. Juan did not play good. He did not play good.
You just said no one on the defensive side of the ball played well, so how are you going to fault him for saying someone played what? Let him throw flowers somewhere. Stop being so negative. Juan Thornhill did come out and tweet, Carter, and said that the Bengals got him out of his character and that he will not allow that to happen again.
Uh-oh.
Got to throw flowers where flowers are due. I respect it. My biggest positive is the Chiefs cornerback's going to be really good in a couple of years. Man, I know it looked rough. Stat sheet, Joe Burrow threw for 280. The Chiefs' oldest corner is only 25 years old. L'Jarius Sneed. Trent McDuffie, he's 22. Joshua Williams is only 23. They're young, and it showed yesterday against a very, if not the best, a top 3 wide receiver core in the NFL. And I mean, it was just that. Whenever Spags has a defensive game plan, when there's no safety help for young corners on these top wide receivers, whenever they're on an island by themselves, it's do or die. You got to go make a play. And the Chiefs just weren't able to make plays yesterday. Yes, Trey McDuffie did have a very good game, like Keegan talked about. But Joshua Williams got exposed yesterday, I feel like. But like I said, a couple of years, I think the Chiefs develop into a very solid cornerback room. And I think it might be one of the, not the stronger points of that Chiefs defense, but I think it could very well win them a lot of games in the coming years with how good it could be.
Oh, yeah, the cornerbacks played well.
I had a couple questions for you guys, and then, I mean, if y'all had anything, and then we can wrap it up. But then my last question I have for you guys, where is Frank Clark? Where did that man go? 5'5". He got on the injury report late with an illness, popped up on there. Just kind of felt like he was a no-show in these big games against Buffalo, against Tennessee, against Cincinnati. It just seems like he goes missing. I know we talked about the whole defensive line kind of went missing, but how much they're paying him, man, ain't doing anything on the field. How'd you guys feel about Frank Clark?
I'm happy for his time in Kansas City, but it's over.
What a take. Okay, Carter, do you have any feelings towards Frank?
I mean, this game, non-existent, but I think he hasn't lived up to what he's getting paid. But I don't think he's had a bad year.
He played before yesterday. He had some solid games coming back from his illness.
Some really good, big, massive plays.
He's done pretty well against the run this year, but having less sacks than L'Jarius Sneed doesn't help.
Didn't he have a safety
this year?
Yeah.
I don't know if the Chiefs have a safety. Oh, yeah, they do on Jimmy G. Yeah, you're right.
Geek, what were your questions, my guy? Gotcha. Does anyone, Carter, you got anything else, my guy?
No. Hit us up. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We got a YouTube. We're there. But anywhere and everywhere you listen to your podcast, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, Pandora, maybe if they have podcasts, we're there.
Keep pushing Pandora. Keep pushing Pandora.
One day. Someday we'll be there.
We'll be on there. Telling you.
But
Big Cartel / the 816 hour. Get your merch. Always rocking it. Christmas is right around the corner. Gonna hammer that down. So definitely go stuff some stockings with some 816 hour pins. Throw some stickers out, a couple t-shirts, who knows. But boys, it was a rough week. I won't lie. But hopefully they rebound. They got Broncos next week.
Broncos country.
Hey.
Let's ride.
Boys, you got anything else?
No, sir.
We out?
We're out.
Peace.